And we are live. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the Forex market and any market pretty much in general. I hope everybody's doing very well on this Thursday evening. This is the last episode of the overall week. Thursdays are always kind of funny. Oh, there we go. Look, it's working. Cool. Um, Thursdays are always kind of one of those days where I'm actually kind of I'm actually kind of happy it's Thursday. Uh, Obviously, we do 8 sessions a week. And in the midst of being able to do 8 sessions a week, trying to do that, trying to juggle renovations and everything else like that I have inside of my house, and obviously being able to talk to the good old folks of Trading View and YouTube and everything else like that. Some days you actually need that break and that little time off. So uh, we're gonna go ahead and go through the disclaimer. Type in if you end up having a green day or red day. I'm gonna place that inside of the chat box, and hopefully we can be able to see how well everybody end up doing. And then after that, we're gonna end up taking a look at the overall markets and then see what's going on overall, and we'll kind of move forward from there. So let's go ahead and go through the disclaimer, and then after that, we'll go ahead and get jumped into everything that we're gonna end up doing. So I'm not a CTA, so I'm not gonna tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm gonna do is teach you education, and from that education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money. Also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it is not promised that you're going to end up making money today. So with that being said, I just want to make sure that the good old folks on the red brand, also known as YouTube, are able to see what's happening with my overall videos and everything else for its content. So while I'm going through and being able to put this together, if y'all would, please make sure that y'all end up typing in what type of day that y'all end up having overall when it came down to the trading day in general. Whether the green day, whether the red day, how well did you end up doing? I really would like to know. It kind of helps me out for us being able to understand what's going on. Also, from a communication standpoint, um, we have a community Discord that we end up talking about, or that we end up going through and helping out people when it comes down to information and all other stuff. I gotta be. I wasn't as active this week when it came down to the Discord, and I do somewhat apologize about that because obviously I like to be as active as possible. But a lot of great information inside of there, and you can be able to use that to your overall advantage and being able to go from there. Obviously, we have a free area, we have a premium area. You can decide whichever one works for you when it comes down to that, and be able to go from there. Steve, what's going on? Steve had a green day. There we go. There we go. Was it a big green day or just a green day in general? Um, it's always cool to be able to know that answer. But good to hear that you end up having a good day. It's always good to be able to know, obviously, people that we end up talking to when it comes down to trading end up having a great day. Uh, like I said before, trading is hard. Uh, you just want to make sure that you can be able to maximize everything that you end up doing within your overall trading day. Let's see. I'm almost done. Just give me one quick second, everybody. Let's see. Thumbnail, bam, and content, bam. All right, save changes. We should be good to go on that. And I end up answering questions on YouTube in a quick second as well. Small green day. Okay, cool, cool. Good to go. Good to go. So, if you are new, just your first time watching this live, once again, thank you for being able to watch. Obviously, our community is growing rapidly. I do appreciate everybody being able to um, interest in me and being able to talk trading and everything else like that as we go through and try to find opportunities and be able to do everything else like that. It's very important to me when it comes down to that. I want to make sure that everybody truly understands that it is important to me to be able to see everybody win, and also it is important to me to be able to get your feedback as well because that allows me to be able to help you out a little bit better when it comes down to trading. And obviously, yeah, I think all of y'all know that I am a for-profit business. I try to make sure that anything that we do, we try to make profit off of it. So um, that's the overall plan as we go through and get everything else done. So All right. For some people, $300 is not small, Steve, but I understand what you're saying. That's a heck of a day. It takes care of a couple of bills inside of the household for me. Uh, and it allows us to be able. But obviously, great day. Good job. Good job. There we go. Let's see. Want to make sure that good old people on Discord can be able to see what we're doing as well. Obviously, questions inside of there, you will end up seeing. You can be able to see that inside of the live stream question area. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and jump into it. What ended up happening earlier today? So today was a fallout from the FOMC. Typically, remember the day after FOMC, you end up having either a continuation type of move, or you end up seeing that the market will end up having a retracement. Yeah, but I only got back 300, not in profit on my account. Okay, well, chip away. Keep on chipping away. Keep on looking at your percentage. Keep on finding your A plus. Keep on trading your A trades, and once you end up finding your A trades, obviously you're going to have to risk a little bit more. But once you end up doing that, obviously you're going to end up building an account back. So uh, we end up going from there. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Demo accounts. This is demo accounts. Don't have be verified. But let's see. Okay. All right. So earlier today, interest rates ended up getting pushed up from 2.25 to 3.0 when it came down to the pound. So it got pushed up 75 basis points. Actually ended up pushing the pound down when it came down to that movement, which was surprising at the beginning because you would think that obviously with the United States dollar basically pushing and being able to see that the pound ended up pushing right behind it, it would kind of stabilize it, but it didn't. Um, a little bit later on throughout that day, we ended up having Governor Bailey end up speaking. We'll see how that kind of affected the overall market as well. But we end up having ISM services PMIs. They end up happening at 10 o'clock, and we end up seeing that as well. There we go. There we go. Appreciate it, Steve. Um, but uh, going into the rest of today and going into tomorrow, we don't have pretty much most of anything aside from obviously we got non-farm payroll tomorrow. So Thursday kind of moved the way that it typically moves the day before non-farm payroll. You typically have one big pop, and then once you end up having that one big pop, then you end up having some type of movement after that. Um, I'm sorry, you end up having one big pop, and then after that, you have consolidation after that. And then after that, we kind of get prepared for what's happening with the jobs report. Now, keep in mind, jobs report this month is expected to be lower than what it was last month. So, two things can end up happening off of this very simply. One, it could be this number could be a fake out when it comes down to the number for it's 200, and they're trying to get people to be riled up, and it jumps up to 263 or 280 or something like that, and it surprises people and that allows the United States dollar to keep on moving as a whole when it comes down to its uptick. Or what could happen is that it could be able to hit 200 or even below that, and then after that start moving to the downside. Now October is a very weird month because typically in August and September you end up getting pretty much a big boost when it comes down to new jobs based off of like education and stuff like that because people are in school. And you need obviously you need new people to sit up there, or you need teachers and the other workforce to be able to help out when it comes down to school and everything else. So August and September, typically you end up having great job report numbers. October, you typically don't have a great job reports number. November, you typically do. In December, you definitely do because obviously you come down to the holiday. So this month is going to end up being kind of weird to be able to take a look at, but I don't know if this number from non-farm payroll is going to end up making the market jump in either direction, whether if it's to the upside or whether if it's to the downside with a legitimate type of move. I think what's going to end up happening after the fact, um, But unemployment rate and a few other things may end up affecting how the market may end up moving overall. But um, keep in mind, we end up seeing a channel off the United States dollar index, and I think that we're probably going to, I mean, we end up seeing consolidation with the United States dollar index, and I think we're probably going to see the same thing overall as this market is continuing to be able to make its move. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. United States dollar index. Let's see. United States dollar index. As we go through and take a look at this, we had a big push. We broke above that 13,411 area, which means that now the next area where the market could potentially end up going is essentially the top of this small little resistance at 13,515. The market ended up pushing up, and then after that, having a little bit of consolidation since that point. But the overall high of this consolidation is at 13,556. As long as this market stays in the middle of this consolidation, to me, it does not flip and matter about what happens with the United States dollar pairs. I'm not trading them until I end up getting a clear direction of where it's going to end up breaking out of this overall consolidation, and I'm going to remain to be true when it comes down to that movement, just because there's no true breakout in this area, so I'm not going to be interested in being able to jump in one way or the other. And that's exactly what I did. I just did not trade it. Now, oil, when it came down to that standpoint, remember I ended up getting in at 86.83. I actually ended up sending messages to people inside of the Discord and saying that, hey, I pulled out of this overall pair and I just took profit. The reason why I took profit mainly because the market fell down below that 88.50 area and kept on being able to make overall lows, and there's no counter trend line break from this channel that has been made. So this channel or this blue channel that I ended up making before, there's really no movement off of that. There's nothing to be able to do. Um, But currently, right now, there's a counter trend line break that may end up what it needs to be broken to the upside before being able to jump in. We'll see how the market kind of reacts off of that before that actually ends up happening in a second. Everybody, give me 1 second. I need to answer a question from my developer. Let's see. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so with that being said, well, oil, I'm going to end up staying away from it at least for right now. We'll see what happens. If there's a counter trend line breaking, ends up breaking back up, then I go ahead and re-entering on that position. But I end up taking profit off of it. The 2 hours in the buy zone, which is a good thing. Obviously, these consolidation points that we end up talking about now are starting to build out and starting to create a natural consolidation that we can truly be able to pay attention to a little bit more. Um, I want to say that natural, like large style of consolidation, excuse me, natural large style of consolidation that we're looking at this particular point goes from here to where the supports were right down there, um, which means that we may be here for a little bit when it comes down to this movement. Overall, I'm going to put this in yellow so everybody can be able to see it. There goes our next portion of consolidation when it comes down to this block. We end up having the movement to the upside, but uh, I do think that that may end up being the next natural position of where the consolidation actually is overall, where the resistance is at 90 and the support is basically back at that 86 number overall. Not going to end up doing anything off of it yet. Probably won't do anything going into tomorrow. We'll just see how everything kind of plays out, to be honest. Um, Next one, let's go into gold. Gold, I did not trade it, and I'm hoping that the market did not break below this number before I take a look at it. Let's see. Good. Yes. All right. That's exactly what I wanted to see. I said this earlier. All right. So now we can set in a pending order. I feel good about setting in a pending order now. What I ended up saying with gold was this market yesterday, based off of 2 days ago, based off, well, no, yesterday, based off of FOMC news, market ended up pushing all the way up to the 1669 area, right around to the resistance. From there, fell down, fell all the way down to support at 1618. And when we looked at it this morning, we seen that the market was definitely at support. And my thing that I ended up saying, very simply put, was that I'm interested in being able to get in if the market is at 1618. But the problem is that I needed for the market to be able to push up. I had to see the market push up at least to the upside first before being able to consider of being able to jump in. And we know that 1618 is basically that last line of defense when it comes down to this overall area. So if it does break, then that means two things. One, the United States dollar is back being strong. And two, um, we have basically a low volume area or low volume node that we'll run into when it comes down to that space, and where I think that the natural take profit would be right around that 1553 area. So I'm going to go ahead and place this in as a pending order now. I feel good about where it is now just because of what ended up happening based off of that movement. So we're going to go short with a pending order. The entry will end up being at 1618. Stop loss is going to end up being above the swing high for this one. I'm going to say 1641 because the market hasn't moved down to the downside, but we can readjust that as the market is going through. So 1641 is the stop. And then after that, take profit is 1553. So I'm going to say 1555. Let's see. Got So, bam, I got that locked in, got it ready to go. And we'll see how that market kind of reacts based off of that movement. But there goes the idea. The market ends up basically rejecting off its area, push to the downside, and breaks below it. Then we'll be ready at 1618 to be able to take that trade. Now, if it never triggers us in, then that's fine. We'll just wait and see how the market's going to end up moving from there. But we are in when it comes down to that movement. Okay. So that takes us to take a look at what's happening with Bitcoin. Then after that, we'll take a look at what's happening with the pound. And then after that, we'll take a look at what's happening with the indexes, US 30 and NAS 100. And then we'll call it a night as we go through. So Bitcoin. Bitcoin fell below this overall consolidation area, and then after that started pushing back to the downside. So it broke out, retested. Currently, right now, still retesting at the natural support of this movement. We can consider that now to be we can consider this now to be the large scale consolidation of this overall area, which means that we're in the middle of consolidation. And if we're in the middle of consolidation of any type of move, that means that we're not trading it because it gives us only a 33% chance of being able to win. So I'm going to stay away from this movement overall before being able to make anything happen off of that. So I'm done with that one. Pound United States dollar. What did we get? We got the market to be able to have a breakdown based off of the news and the press conference. Based off of the interest rate from the pound and based off of the interest rate from the United States dollar. Market broke the consolidation, retested, and then after that fell all the way down to 11,000. I'm sorry, 1.148, and then after that started to push back up. I was saying I was hoping for the market to be able to give us a little bit of a consolidation, kind of like what ended up happening with gold. That did not happen, so I'm waiting on a new consolidation move to be able to happen as this market starts to push up, and then see if we can be able to get a counter trend line break to be able to get into. But for gold right now, nothing to be able to do, and we can kind of move forward from there. US 30. So US 30, what ended up happening was this. We talked about a potential trade for us being able to get in off of the off of the 15-minute. We end up saying that I would be interested in being able to get into this trade at 31,950 with a take profit of this position right around 31,560. What ended up happening was that the market ended up pushing to the downside almost 200 points for its movement, 238 to be exact. And then after that, started to be able to push back up. So if you end up not getting out of that overall move and allow it to be able to push up, you would have got stopped out. If you seen the U-turn, then you would have had an opportunity of being able to make a movement from there. Now, what I'm seeing right now with Dow Jones is that we have a counter trend line break and we see the market starting to fall a little bit. So we may end up having a chance to be able to scoop a little bit of movement overnight before the market actually ends up making this movement overall. So I am going to end up looking at being able to place in a manual entry off of this move currently right now and see what we can be able to get off of it. And basically run the same trade that we were looking at being able to run in the first place. So this to be a instant short. Stop loss will end up being above those highs now because we know that's where it's going to end up being 32,150. 32,175 will end up being a stop loss. Take profit off of this one. I still feel comfortable with being able to say 31,580. 31,580. 31,580. Because it's overnight, I'll go with a very small percentage. And there we go, firing that one in as well right now. I want to see how the market's going to end up reacting off of that. Are you long on gold at 1618? No, I'm shorting it. I'm going to short it. Now, you can make a case for being able to long it. Obviously, we see what happens with the job support and everything else like that. Obviously, that'd be a strategy 4 type of trade when it comes down to being able to make that move. But for me personally, if I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, well, what's going to end up being the better move overall when it comes down to this pair? Currently, right now, I would say on gold is that if it breaks below this overall area, then I would look at being able to sell it. Now, if it bounces above and it goes right back inside of the consolidation, then after that we can look at being able to buy it back up, and I can make a case for that as well. But in all intents and purposes, we've seen that the sellers end up basically taking this move as soon as they end up getting up to 1671 and getting out quick. Obviously, we've seen more pressure to the downside than we have to the upside, so I'm going to remain to stay in that when it comes down to movement. Plus, the hours in the sell zone, the 2 hours in the sell zone, and we know that the overall movement has been to the downside as well. Okay. So US 30 we end up getting into, we end up taking a trade off of that one. The last one today is going to end up being off of NAS 100. NAS 100, what is happening? I end up making a move off of this one to the downside as well. This was actually I think the only trade that I ended up taking today. With NAS 100, that trade we ended up taking was at 10,824 and getting out at 10,741 and 10,786 respectively. So based off of this counter trend line break that we ended up seeing earlier this morning, based off of that counter trend line break, end up getting into this movement. Market ended up falling, fell down to the downside. My expectation was that we could be able to get out on this first move based off of this previous movement on the 20th, and then after that try to go after the large movement that was expected to be able to get hit in 10,430. And both of those are working fine. Both of those are working in that positions for being able to move to the downside. The question is there time to be able to get into it today? Currently right now, I'm probably going to say no. Kind of a little bit indifferent compared to this one in the US 30. US 30 showed a clear drop. This one didn't show that much of a drop at all. I can see it dropping a little bit. I guess the chip industry is in turmoil. They use a lot. They use it a lot in the industry. Yeah, makes sense. Remember, indexes are a collection of either all of the industrial companies or all of the technology companies, or 100 of the technology companies there. Sure. 30 of the best. Well, what is it? Nas 100 is the best tech stocks, I believe. No, industrial stocks, and US 30 is the best tech, I believe, if I said that right. But obviously, it's a collection of all of those pairs for being able to make a move from there. Um, so that's pretty much it. We got we just took a trade on this took a trade on US 30 and set up a pending order on Nas on gold. We'll see how both of those kind of play out for us going into tonight, going into tomorrow, and the rest of the weekend. Remember, if you can be able to take profit off on a pair, then I would say look at being able to take profit or mini profit as the market is basically moving in a direction and being able to go from there. And then after that, you can kind of make your move off of that. Like always, thank you everybody for being able to pop in. I know I'm sitting back and kind of relaxing at this point. But hope everybody ended up having a good week when it came down to trading. Hopefully, you end up having a very good tomorrow. Please keep in mind use the 15-minute rule when it comes down to the news that's going to come out at 8:30. And after that, just kind of play it safe, protect your profits for this week. Like always, plan your trade your plan. I'll see each and every one of y'all in the next video. Take it easy.